I think part of it, I don't think is just related to masculinity and being a man. I think part of it is definitely the society we live in. Like we live in a very distracted society.
Mm,
The way we live, especially in North America, people are so, in Canada for sure. People live so far from each other. Everything is a half an hour drive at least. Um, Video games for men. I think you have more of your friends that are just in your headphones, and you're never actually hanging out together. You're never actually going out in the world and experiencing life together. Everything is, especially in a video game, if you have laughs. From what I understand of that culture, because I have friends who are still in it, and younger relatives, that a lot of it's competition, and you're always competing against somebody. You're literally about to be shot from the person you're talking to that's supposed to be your friend. And then so there's not really a safe environment to share that stuff, even though you feel that these people like you. And maybe this is just because I didn't grow up with that culture, but it seems like such a far departure from sitting across from one of your friends playing pool or hanging out that day, or like there's a closeness that I remember having in my 20s, and I don't see guys that are in those ages now having those experiences. Like, have you done any work with the different generations to see? Am I wrong? Is it getting a lot better for guys that are younger now? Are they starting to open up and connect more, or is that not the case?
we haven't done any direct studies looking at comparison across generations, but certainly anecdotally, a lot of the factors that you're talking about, I see. Like in some ways, I feel that younger guys are actually more emotionally attuned to what's going on within themselves, but others, there's
Okay.
more empathy that's being shown toward people who are struggling, even more compassionate acts, if you will.
Huh.
But still, there's this barrier that young men feel in the same way that perhaps we did at their age, and for many guys now, is that they can't. Guys aren't supposed to feel that way. They're not
Right.
supposed to share. They're not supposed to rely on others and ask for help. And so it keeps them in sort of this retreated or defensive position. I can't share too much because it's going to look bad on me in one way or another.
Yeah,
Not
or or
supposed to.
or it'll be thrown in your face later on. I've
Yeah,
had people tell me that about their significant others as well, but also their friends. That if
yeah,
you let your guard down, that you felt nervous or afraid or vulnerable about any of these things, then it can be used against you as a weakness
yeah,
later on.
yeah. Your trust is violated, and
Right.
shame rears its ugly head again. People will use that shame to hurt,
Hmm.
and that itself is a shameful act, of course. But also, if you think about the way that a lot of boys are raised to be men, sort of the social prescriptions and proscriptions about manhood, what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to be stoic, keep it together, soldier on, stiff upper lip, don't show any vulnerability or weakness, don't ask for help. And you can see all the barriers that are created about connection.
Hmm.
You don't rely on others. I'll give you an example
Right.
from some research. We were looking at the connection between distress concealment and depression and suicidal ideation. And what we found in a longitudinal study is the more that a guy conceals his distress, the more he feels that people around him don't understand him. Not surprising because he's not sharing anything. The more lonely he becomes, and the more depressed he is, and the more suicidal ideation he experiences.